Welcome to AccuQuilt Live. I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert. Thanks for joining us today. The lovely Leslie's in the house. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. How was your happy birthday yesterday?
It was good. I was in GME's. It was perfect.
Best birthday ever.
Yeah, we just sat in
Did you
GME's
eat cake?
No, we didn't.
Dang, I should have brought
But
you cake.
we went out Saturday and I got pie.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
That works. Okay. All right. Well, where is everyone watching from? I have been liking all of you people who are here. So Jerry from Wheatfield, Indiana is here. Brenda from Ohio. I'm just going to like all your comments. And Patty from Oklahoma. We're glad you're all here. All right. We have some new projects here in our opening video. Let's take a look. First, we have Anita L. Okay, Leslie, we like this one.
I do. I didn't realize what it was until you pointed out it was the signature block.
Yeah, and it just looks like squares, right? But it's super cool. I love that it's scrappy. Good job, Anita. Next, we have this beautiful whale project from Beverly C. She used the clamshell die. We talked about that just yesterday.
I like that it looks like scales.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to look like the waves.
Yes. I know. I think it's great. I saw a project one time where somebody made it look like the mermaid's tail.
Ooh.
I know, and used our clamshell die. I know, our quilters are so smart. Next we have Leslie S. And look, it's Snail's Trail. Look how pretty that is. I love that block because it can be so intricate and it makes it look so beautiful, and it's super simple to put together. All right, quilters, it's a new year, so here is my photo of the day. These are some of my UFOs, okay? I have a few, but my goal this year is to really work on my UFOs, and actually since January, I have finished 4 of them, and it is only what day? The 12th. I know. Okay, so the question of the day is, how many UFOs do you plan to finish in 2022? Okay, so in the comments section, let us know. Leslie, do you have a number?
I don't have a number, but I'd like to get all of the ones I have done.
How many UFOs do you have? You've only been quilting like a minute.
Oh, Pam.
I know.
Probably at least 10.
Seriously?
Well, all of my Halloween quilts I did, I haven't gotten
Yes.
backing on them. And then I started
Right.
quilts for my nieces and nephews.
Right.
2 that the tops are done, and then 1 that's in pieces. So I
Right.
gotta,
Well, and I feel like too, like for me, I have a whole bunch of quilt tops that need to be quilted.
that's what I have, is just quilt
Yeah.
tops that need quilted, and
Yeah.
then 1 that needs bound, and then
I'm all about binding these days. A couple of weeks, we're gonna have a whole show on binding. Okay, today is all about helping you get organized for the new year, because I feel like your sewing room sometimes, especially for me, like after the holidays, my sewing room is pretty trashed, okay? So we're gonna show you how to make this super fun sewing mat, our sewing machine mat. Here we go. So here's this one. We have several versions of it, okay? So look at this one. Look at how cute this is. So it has little pockets right here, okay? And Leslie, what did you say we should put in our pockets?
candies.
Candy, look. We have some candy on the set, okay?
You need snacks while you're sewing.
Oh, all the time. All the time. So this is one version. Don't let me forget there's candy in there before Brock puts it away. And then this one is super cute because I love the fabric. It's this great Tula Pink fabric. And so bright and pretty. And then look at the back. I love this cone flowers.
That's so pretty.
I
I like
know.
it. It's like perfect for spring.
It is. What did you say it was going to snow? How many inches here on Friday?
I don't know. You guys were talking about the
Holy
snow.
smokes.
I didn't listen
I think
to that
Joe
fast
said
forward.
like 8 inches or 6 inches or something crazy. Okay, so that's what we're going to make today. I have a completely different colorway behind Leslie. As she talks today, you'll see that she has a completely different colorway as well. So we have a great promo for you today. We have 40% off our Go fabric cutters, which is our Ready, Set, Go. Think about our Ready, Set, Go system. Cubes, dies, and cutting mats. The code for today is MY40OFF, so it's MY40OFF. And some exceptions apply. Check the website for details. But we have something hot off the presses.
Yes, we do.
Okay, you want to talk about hot off the presses? What else is on sale?
We just added 22 of our most popular dyes to our overstock.
Okay.
Up to 50% off, no code required. There are limited quantities, so shop now for them, because once they're gone, they're gone.
Gone. They're just an overstock.
They're just they're not gone, but they're gone until we get more in with
Right.
everything. So.
Right. Okay. All right. And today I'm going to give away one of our Go Mix and Match 6-inch cubes. It's the cube we're going to use today. So be sure and share this video in your personal Facebook page for a chance to win. Leslie asked if she could share for the chance to win. The answer is no. Leslie never gives me fabric to announce on our Tuesday shows, so no, she can't do that. But she will be announcing the winner at the end of our show. So be sure and share. That's a great, fun project for the beginning of the year, a new die for the year. Okay, so for this project, you're going to need the 6-inch cube. So before I open the cube, before I talk about it, Leslie, the number one question people are going to ask is, can I make it with a different size cube? And the answer is,
yes, you can. It'll just be bigger.
yep, and so you just adjust the fabric. But the pattern's written for the 6-inch cube, and I actually love that because the pockets are the right size. Because what's going to happen is, ooh, here, don't drop my candy. It's just going to sit here like this and hang over, right? And so the pockets are going to be there so you can see them. Don't mind me as I drop all my stuff. So then they're not so bulky. So 6 inches is really the one I think you should use, the 6-inch cube, because that's what the pattern calls for. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. Okay, my phone is going to play music here in a second, so I'm going to move it. All right. So this is our 6-inch cube. So the cube comes in 6 different sizes, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12. They're all the same shapes in every cube. They're just different sizes. And we're going to open it up like this. Ta-da! All right, so we're going to pull the skinny one first. How come, Leslie?
So you don't break a fingernail.
Yes, so you don't break a nail. Hold on here. I'm going to make sure. I don't want to knock this over, Joe. I'm good. There we go. All right. So in the skinny one that we're going to pull first, it has a cutting mat and a pattern book. We have 72 mix and match patterns that you can make with the cube system. Those are free downloadable patterns from AccuQuilt.com. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up our cube just like this. Okay? So quilters ask us all the time, how should I store my dies? And the answer is like this. You stack them like books on a shelf. Don't lay them one on top of each other. The weight of the dies on top will damage the blades of the dies on the bottom. And AccuQuilt has a whole bunch of storage solutions. We had a whole show yesterday about some fun things that are storage racks and our boxes. So if you're looking for ways to store your dies, AccuQuilt has some great storage solutions. Are those part of our sale today, do we think, some of those? We'll look. Leslie will look. Okay. So the most important thing to remember about the cube is that the cube is based on a 4-patch system, okay? So shape number 1 in every cube is a square. 4 of them sewn together, in this case, makes a 6-inch finished block. Don't think in your quilting head, oh, I'm getting the 6-inch cube, it's going to cut 6-inch blocks. There is some sewing involved, okay? So shape number 2 in every cube are smaller squares, and there's actually 4 on this die board. There are blades in the center and blades on the side, and this is one that we need for our project, so I'm going to pull it out. Shape number 3 in every single cube is my all-time favorite shape. These are half-square triangles. And quilters ask me all the time, like, why is that your favorite shape? And the answer is because they're great for scrap busting. You know, because sometimes you don't have enough to cover both of the half square triangles, but you could cut one. But remember at AccuQuilt, we cut off the dog ears. So from this point here to this point here is a perfect 1/4-inch seam. So in every cube, we have big squares and big half square triangles. Oh, and I'm going to use this for a little trick I'm going to show you later, okay? Now, this is shape number 4 in every cube. They are 1/4 square triangles. So keep in mind there's a difference between half square triangles and 1/4 square triangles. This is going to always cut on the lengthwise grain parallel to the lengthwise blades so that those 1/4 square triangles line up perfectly. All right, so those are the first 4 shapes in your cube. All right, so the next 4 shapes Shape number 5 in every single cube are small half square triangles. So remember, there's big squares and little squares, big half square triangles and little half square triangles. Keep in mind too that there are actually 4 on this die board. So sometimes if the pattern says cut 8 half square triangles, you only need 2 pieces of fabric, okay? I know, read the instructions, it's a concept. I know, I as a quilter, tell you that's a hard one. So shape number 6 is not just a square, but it is a square on point, all right? Which means it's meant to live on its tippy toes. So shape number 5 is kind of our workhorse die, and this is the shape that you're gonna need to go around the edge of that square on point to make a finished block. So all of the pieces go together to equal shape number 1, 4 of them sewn together equals a 6-inch block, okay? All right, so there's that. Oh, I'm gonna put the square and point back. Now shape number 7 in every cube is a parallelogram. Leslie, what's important to remember about a parallelogram?
It's a directional die.
It is a directional die. So depending on which way you want your parallelograms to go, you can either fan fold your fabric or have it all facing up. If you're gonna make a block that has a parallelogram in it, I'm going to tell you to make a sample block. Okay, and you're gonna need shape number 5 on the long ends right here to equal a rectangle. And then shape number 8 in every single cube are rectangles. There are actually 2 on this die board. So again, remember our dies often have multiple shapes, okay? All right, so those are the 8 dies in every cube, all right? So the shapes are the same, they're just different sizes. All right, so now I'm gonna move my little project down here so I can show it to you. We'll have chocolate later. Okay, Leslie, before we get started, tell us how many people, UFOs people are gonna finish in 2022.
Oh, I saw someone, I forget who it was, but they said they're 2 a month. Linda said she's hoping
Linda?
2 a month.
Linda, share them with us on our Facebook page. We'd love to see them. Use the hashtag AccuQuilt built.
Yes.
We'd love to see them. 24, that is a noble goal.
That is very.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean, if you do like smaller lap quilts
Right.
versus bigger ones.
Right.
I like
And-
a mixture.
And for me, I had a couple of lap quilts that just needed binding. And so I just sat down and bound a whole bunch, you know.
I don't hand bind. I use my machine.
I know, yes. Yes. I had a couple that needed to be hand bound and I actually just ended up using my machine.
Yeah.
So, and it was so funny because Ray's my husband and I had them all, so I finished binding 2 really good sized ones and I had them all washed and ready to go and they were down in the laundry pile and he goes, "Did we get new quilts?" And I was like, "Yes, we did." He's like, "Oh, okay." And I thought, those are years old, but you bet, they're new to us. Okay.
I've seen them out of your pile, so they're new.
Right. Yeah, he tries not to look in the pile. Okay. Okay, so for this pockets that we're gonna make, you need 3 squares, okay? So we're gonna show you how to make these 2 squares on either end, and the one in the center is different, so we've already sewn it, and I've already sewn it all together, okay? All right? So now, this is a great chain piecing project, all right? So think about, Leslie, we had talked about some other dies, right, that we could use for this?
Oh yeah, like the crazy heart or
The crazy quilt and the
crazy
wonky
quilt and
heart.
the wonky heart. I the 2.
Yes, we often can mix those 2 up. But those are great. So like if in your stash you have layer cakes and you're thinking, gosh, what could I do with those? You could use those dies. Are they part of that 40% off sale?
They are. So the crazy quilt would only be $47.99, and then
Okay.
the wonky heart would be $41.99.
Oh, perfect.
And then storage boxes are not a part of the sale, but cutting mats are, so stock up on your cutting mats.
Oh, just yesterday, I have a mat that I've had probably since I started working here that wore out.
Do you have a mat from that long?
It's only a 6x6 mat, and it's the one I use probably the least. Yeah. And I was running it through the cutter yesterday, and it just makes that little noise. So if it stops cutting cleanly or if you can see through it, time to get a new mat. So that's a great idea. Okay, so before we start cutting, join Eric and I on Tuesday, January 18th at 12 noon Central Time for our Slumber party. Eric and I will be here in our jammies. I'm so excited. And we're gonna launch a new die. I guess that's important too, but mostly we get to come in jammies. It's gonna be super fun. So you wanna register for the chance to win prizes. Is that right, Leslie?
Yes, it is. You'll win, usually if it's a launch party, you'll win the die, potentially, or fabric.
Yes, fabric and dyes, both things that you need. Okay, all right, so here's what you want to do. You want to download the pattern. It's a free pattern from AccuQuilt.com. Okay, and we're gonna, look, I already wrote, because I already made some. So I'm gonna make sure that I have my pieces cut out. All right, so for this block, and it's fun because I've already finished these. So these are just shape number 2, okay? The white and the black and the red. And then these are shape number 5. Those are those half square triangles. So I'm gonna show you kind of a cool trick on if you're gonna sew them together, you wanna cut them together, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay down my fabric for my squares, which is here, okay? And look at me, making sure I had all the right stuff. And I have extra fabric in case I didn't have the right stuff, because holy smokes. Okay, so I need a total, I'm gonna make 2 blocks, so I need a total of the 4 squares, okay? The 4 black, so there are 4 in the die board. Lengthwise green, so we wanna have the label of the die at our belly and that lengthwise green back and forth across the die board. So listen, hear it? Nice and tight. That's the lengthwise green, okay? And then we also need 8 of our little white squares. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, look at me. See, this is why I have extra fabric. I don't know, math, this morning math was hard as I was trying to figure out all my pieces, okay? So I'm gonna lay this out here so that I can get, you can't have more than 6 layers, right? So here's 3, 4, okay? And, hold on, because these are for these. 2, 2, 2, 2, good. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut one more little square here for my red, okay? Look at this. And there are subcutting instructions, you can do that. And I love this because you can just totally use your scraps, okay? So people ask me all the time how to find that lengthwise grain. See right here where the salvage edge is? This is that lengthwise grain, okay? It's parallel. All right, so I'm gonna put my mat on top of there. And let's say I'm using the Qube Mix, so how many of these dies can I cut at one time?
You can put 2 through the cutter at once.
2 through the cutter at once, okay? So there's those. All right, while I'm getting my fabric ready for the next one, how many UFOs are people gonna finish?
We have a few questions.
Oh, good.
So Armetta wants to know, do you wash all your quilts before you use them and give them away?
Okay, I wash quilts that live at the Heller house. If I'm giving them away, I do not wash them. And I try not to use red in quilts. Sometimes I do. But if I'm using red fabric, I'm gonna throw it in the washer with a color catcher. Do you know what those are?
I know what they are, I've never used them.
Yeah, they're just like this little thing, you can put them in the dryer and they're like a lint sheet.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dryer sheet, isn't it?
Yeah, and it just catches all of the color, it pulls it out. Okay, but most reds, so back in the day, you know, reds would bleed everywhere.
Yeah.
And nowadays, reds are really good.
I have some pink shirts because my husband put red in with white before.
Good, I love that. Okay.
And then Mari wants to know, can you store your cubes on top of each other?
Yeah, so people ask us that. That's a great question. At home, I have my cube on the bottom and the companion sets on top. I don't stack them higher than that. Okay, but yeah, you can, because they're in those storage boxes. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut half square triangles. So this is such a cool trick. I measured from here to here, added 1/4 inch on either side, And I would put my right sides together. It's hard to tell because I have solids here, right? But then I can just fan fold them like this, okay? Pull that up there. And you want to make sure that it covers all the shapes because if it doesn't, it'll make you cranky, okay? And then I can just take them off and sew them together, okay? All right, so I'm using my Go Big today because I can. The 4, 6, and 8 and 9-inch cubes are on 6x6 die boards, so you can actually use them in your Go Me. I was thinking of what I was talking about there. Okay, give it some love because it's super staticky. Slide that mat, don't lift. And now I'm going to pull back and ta-da! Look how perfect they are. Okay? Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Okay? So now the big question is, why is an AccuQuilt fabric cutter better than rotary cutting? Okay, quilters in your low quilting head, think how difficult it would be to cut these tiny little 1.5-inch finished squares and half square triangles. They'd never be accurate. Our dies cut perfectly the first cut, and then how many cuts do you get on your die? Do you know, Leslie?
Thousands.
Thousands of cuts. The thing that's going to wear out is your cutting mat, which are on sale today. So get them with that My 40 off. Okay? Flip them, turn them, flip them, turn them, get all the use. Okay? So 40% off cutters and cubes and mats. My 40 off. Leslie, any suggestions of some other things you might want to get?
Well, strip dies to help finish all your projects.
Rip dies, yes.
They range from $59.99 to $70.61 today because some of them are differently priced.
Right, right. And if you have a Go Me, we have 2 strip dies that work in the Go Me. But all the others from 1 inch to 6.5 inches, today's a really good day to get strip dies.
Yes,
okay? Don't forget to share. I'm going to give away one of our Go Mix Match 6-inch cubes. We thought we'd start the year off right. Be sure and share this video on your personal Facebook page for the chance to win. And Leslie's going to announce the winner at the end of our show. Okay? So let's start sewing our pieces together. So we're going to start with our half square triangles. I have so much stuff here. Okay? And look, I've already cut them, right? So now they're just ready to go to the machine. And quilters always ask, is it a true 1/4 inch or are you doing a scant 1/4 inch? The answer is I'm going to do a true 1/4 inch. Okay? All right. Leslie has all my good scissors in her little mat behind her. So I got to make sure I can do this. All right, Leslie, how many people are finishing UFOs, and then do you have any questions?
A lot of people are finishing UFOs.
I'm so proud of all of you.
Chris says they want to finish at least 12, if not more.
Yeah, one a month. I feel like that's doable. I feel like that's doable in January. I feel like I should finish 6 now. Because like as the year gets on,
It gets busier, yeah.
it gets busier. I really have to finish them all before like November 1st, right? Because we are so busy as a company.
Oh yeah, at the last.
Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8. Look at me just cutting half square triangles. Okay, what else? How many others are people?
A lot of people are trying to go for 12, so 1 a month, which I think is great.
Yeah.
A couple people just said the ones that they have, the UFOs they currently have. Like Donna only has 2, so she wants to finish those 2.
Oh, yeah. So here's a question. You don't have to tell us in the comment section, but I know quilters who do not start projects if they have UFOs. Okay, I am not that quilter.
No.
Holy smokes, no.
I should be that quilter, but I am not that quilter.
Yeah, I'm not either. Okay, I don't know how many of these I've done here. Look at us. We can't, 2, 4, 6, 8 is how many I need. Okay? Yeah, I just feel like that's just part of quilting, right? Is just having UFOs. Okay. And do we have any questions, Leslie?
We do. So
Okay.
Annette wants to know, how do we store our mats? Because we always talk about storing the dies.
Oh, that is a great question. So we're going to store our mats flat. And like we do here. Yep, just right here. Thanks, Joe. Just like flat like this, okay? some quilters put them in our storage racks with their dies like this. And that's okay, but sometimes they get warped sitting like that. Yeah.
The bigger ones for sure. Lynn said the bigger ones for sure lay flat.
Lay flat, yeah. And especially like the 10 by 24s, 10 by 10s.
Yes.
Yeah. But we have those little storage racks, and sometimes, okay, whenever I'm working on a project, I put my dies in there, and I also put the appropriate size mat.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for mats. It's just a little tough sometimes. Okay, and always a Go Me next to me as I'm doing it, because I feel like sometimes I miss. I don't count right.
Yeah.
Yep, I gotta find my little orange scissors. Here they are. I was cutting red fabric. I'm super excited to cut binding for you today because that's my New Year's goal. Okay, any other questions that we have, Leslie?
Robin says, can you repeat how you know when you need a new mat?
Oh yeah, you wanna tell them, Leslie?
Yeah, so if it stops cutting cleanly, when you put it through the cutter after flipping it and rotating it, that's when you need a new mat.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're gonna know, it's gonna be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Okay, so now these half square triangles, we're just gonna press to the dark side. Okay. Gosh, we need to have a show on May the 4th. And I'm gonna use all sorts of Star Wars references. Okay, here we go. All right.
You do, Pam. That's a Wednesday show.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm wearing a costume and everything. It's gonna be awesome. Okay. All right, so while I'm doing this, so see how easy it was to chain piece these squares, or these half square triangles. And to me, that's the thing about quilting that is so fun, is that I can just sit and chain piece for days. And it just is so much faster than trying to, you know, just do one block at a time. So I try quilters when I'm doing blocks, like if I'm making a, well, last week, was it just last week we had the log cabin?
Yes.
Oh my word. I've done so much since last week. But log cabin's a perfect example of that, because you have all these pieces and you just want to be able to chain piece them. We're going to talk about log cabin again next week, aren't we? On how to cut it, make scrappy stuff. I'm excited. Okay, so we're going to press to the dark side. Okay. All right, so Leslie, what other dies would you use here in our mat, or in our sewing machine cover? We talked about Wonky Heart.
Well, the 12-inch cube has the 6-inch singular square in it.
Oh yes, yes.
And so you could get the 12-inch cube, which is $185.99 today, and then applique onto it, like with.
Yes, that's
if you
a
want to swap it out for the seasons, like the heart die is $26.99 today, and I think I saw the spring medley.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And then the spring medley, I think, was a part of the 22 popular dies in the overstock right now. So.
Oh, I think you should switch it out for the seasons. That's a great idea.
Yes. And
Okay.
then I saw some Halloween and some other holiday dies in the overstock with the up to 56% off.
I don't know how we as a company have overstock on Halloween dies. You and I have enough of a bandwidth there to do that. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm following my pattern and I'm laying out my rows and I'm doing 2 squares at a time, right? Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna do this. Hold on. See, I can't talk and do this at the same time. I have to think about what the heck I'm doing here. Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions that we have, Miss Leslie?
Yeah, so Denise is asking, can you make a sleeve to hang your mat? Like if you made like a sleeve that was like tight to keep them together?
You bet. I don't know how to do that, but you bet. Don't you think you can do that?
I would think so. If they're contained and they're not just like hanging loosely, you should be able to.
Right.
They're not going to warp.
Right. Right. Okay. Da, 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 da. Here I am just doing blocks. Okay, we're going to take some of this from the corner. Okay. So it's really important, quilters, to lay your pieces out correctly. All right? It's nice that I have one finished so that I can show you. Okay? And we're just going to sew one row together at a time, because then I can show you how to chain piece it. Okay? And this must be white. There we go. Oh, I love it when we have all the pieces. Holy smokes. Okay. So it's going to make kind of this little arrow section. Okay. And we're going to lay them out right. Alrighty, so so I'm just going to do, I'm not going to do all the rows, I'm just going to do one of the sections, okay? Because otherwise you just get to sit and watch me sew for a long time, which, how exciting is that, right? And don't forget, all of our videos live on our Facebook page, okay? So if you need to come back and watch this, you can. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to piece all of these pieces together. I'm going to sew these two together, these two, so forth. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to lay them out, okay, so that they nest together. All right, so Leslie, while I'm sewing rows, tell us about our blog.
So our blog is where you'll meet our go-getters and also some of our team members who write for the blog. We have exclusive patterns on the blog that Pam only learned about last year.
And how is it that I just learned about that? That to me just blows my mind every time you say that.
I know. So our go-getters are super creative with what they do with our dyes.
They are.
And the projects they make and the ideas they come up with always like impress me because I'm like, I would never have thought of that.
I know. And they do such cool stuff.
Yes, they do.
And they all have different kinds of likes. Like they're not all modern quilters.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. They
you know,
all do.
some of them do other stuff.
Yep. So you can find a go-getter that matches with your type of quilting. We also tell you about all of our new products and all the fun things we're doing, like the Quilt the World.
Oh yes, with Moda, not just for grunge.
Moda and Baby Lock.
Moda and Baby Lock and us.
Yes.
I know. I wonder if when they talk about us, they say AccuQuilt. There's a die for that.
We should have asked them.
I should have. Hey, listen, this is how you need to refer to us. AccuQuilt, there's a die for that. In a couple of weeks, Porphyria, she's one of our go-getters, yes?
Yes, she is.
Her quilts are currently in the gallery. And where can they find that gallery video on our website? Do we know?
So it's on the blog post about her gallery as well. So
Okay.
we did an interview with her and wrote a blog post about
Yes.
it. But you can also find that there's a link to our gallery. We have a gallery page somewhere out there.
We do. I think it's under the Learn section.
Yes, I believe it
Under
is.
the Learn. Yeah. And to me, that's super fun. So in a couple of weeks, Porphyria is going to be on our Wednesday show.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about her color of connection, right?
I think that's they have another quilt.
February. She's
Yeah.
coming in February.
I forget what their next quilt-along is, but.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Somebody tells me those things, right? Right? We know about those?
Yes.
Okay. Holy smokes. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do, quilters. I have found in my quilting head to press to the white on this particular block. Oh, see, I got to start at the top. Holy smokes. Okay. Leslie, do we have other questions that people are asking? Or are we good for a minute?
Well, Karen just reminded me that her new quilt is called the Collaboration Quilt.
Oh, yes. That's right.
She has her quilt-along starting in February with it.
Okay. Yes, she is going to join us, Porphyria is, and I'm excited. She's terrific. Okay, so look, I'm just following the pattern. I'm making rows. Rows are always good. Before we end today, because I'm excited about that, I'm going to show you how to cut binding. We're gonna sew some binding together. That's a big question people always ask us, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, tell us about binding. Okay, so look. All right, so in this case, I am going to press in opposite directions. Oh, well, actually, I'm going to sew these 4 rows together, and then I'm going to press them. All right, Miss Leslie, don't forget to share, because we're going to give away our 6-inch cube. And don't forget our promo, 40% off. So what kind of dies would you get just in general, Leslie, for the 40% off?
I would get strip dies because I always seems like I need a strip die for a pattern.
Yes.
Whether it's making the rectangles or making strips or making squares.
Right.
I would the best in strip dyes. Someone asked what's the best after the cubes, and I'd say strip dyes.
Right. And make sure you're having those companion sets.
Yes.
Holy smokes. If you have a cube. I feel like so many people over the holidays got cubes and cutters. Hey, listen, if you haven't opened your cutter yet, today is that day. If you're waiting for the sign, it's for us saying, yeah, open it today. It's going to be great. Okay. So now, oh, look. I love it when it all works and I sewed them right. Okay, look at that. Ta-da, ta-da. Okay. So now, real quick, I'm going to show you how to sew the rows together, and then I'm going to show you how to cut the rectangles, and we're going to cut some binding, because we still have a few minutes left in our show, okay? All right, and I am going to press one direction, not to be mixed up with a boy band. Okay. Leslie, any other questions we have?
Ada said, can you use the 9-inch bob dies to make the cover? And you could. It'll just make it bigger.
It'll just make it bigger. And I do like these size of pockets because they're just perfect. They're not too bulky.
Yeah.
Right? So this one. And if I was at home, which I was when I was making this, I would just use my big iron and press this, give it a really good press. But see how I'm just pressing it in the seams in opposite directions. Look how good those came out. I do love it when the die works. All right. The die works all the time. It's just me not sewing it together, just in case anybody wondered. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew these down real quick. All right, Leslie, tell us how many UFOs people are fixing to make.
Well, Sherry is hoping to finish one she started 22 years ago.
Sherry, what a goal. Please share it with us. I wonder what kind of pattern it was. There was no AccuQuilt dies.
Right.
22 years ago.
True.
Holy smokes. I think the oldest UFO I have is, gosh, do I even...
You have to
even talk about that.
It, so now you have to say it.
I know. I think I have one that's like 6 years old.
Oh, that's not that bad.
But here's why it is, right? Because we always have to justify why it is. Here's why it is. I don't like it anymore. I don't like the fabric anymore. And I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And I made it with our dies and it's perfect. So this year, you know, we partnered with Moda to cover the world in quilts. And that's when I'm going to finish, have quilted, and then donate it. Yeah, because somebody will think it's beautiful. Okay, I don't know. There's no grunge in it, you know, gosh. Okay, all right, so look how fast this is. So now I'm just going to sew this last one because then we'll have a whole block finished. All right, and then I'm going to show you how to cut. And so we're going to cut some rectangles because this is such a slick trick. You need strip dies, which, you know, are on sale today. Okay, here we go. All right. All right. Ta-da. All right. Look at this. So here's one of our blocks. And then you would turn it like this. Make sure you follow the pattern, okay? Now, once you get all done with that, I'm gonna need this, but I'm gonna cut some stuff. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna move my candy. Don't let me forget it's there. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sew the 3 rows together, okay? And I'm going to show you how, in just a second, how to cut these rectangles. Rectangles just in general, okay? Not just necessarily these, okay? And then you have to quilt this section. So there's a backing and there's batting, okay? All right? So that it's all ready to go to use on our sewing machine mat, which comes right here, okay? All right, so let me show you how to do rectangles. So this particular pattern requires a 6.5 by 2 inch cut. All right. So this is our 2-inch strip die. Oh, here, let's talk about strip dies real quick. So strip dies there are 5 blades in this die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No blades down here, no blades down here. This is the exception to the lengthwise grain rule, because Leslie, when you cut strips, do you cut lengthwise grain?
No, you do not.
No, you cut width of fabric, okay? All right, and then these lines are to make squares and diamonds. We have lots of videos on our YouTube channel on how to use our strip dies, okay? So I'm gonna have this one, and then here is the 6-inch strip die, okay? And it just has it cuts 6.5 inches. One strip of 6.5 inches. So when you're cutting, I'm gonna use some of my scraps here. Look at this. Okay, so when you're using, when you're making rectangles, I'm gonna trim this. Wish I had my good scissors, Leslie, sitting there behind you. Okay. No, it's okay. They're cute. They look cute. They're hanging with you. Okay. So when you're cutting rectangles, it doesn't matter. So let's say you want to make a 3x6 rectangle. Maybe you want to make 4x8, whatever. There's no 8. 4x6. Okay. You want to cut the widest part first. Okay. So watch this. So I'm just going to lay my fabric here, okay? And we only need a few of these, so I just have a little piece of fabric here, okay? I just have one layer. And then I'm going to run through my cutter. All of our strip dies, I'm using my Go Big today, but all of our strip dies fit through our Go fabric cutter as well.
Pam, for 8 inches though, couldn't you use this Go square, the 8.5-inch cut square?
I didn't hear even one word you just said. Hang on one sec. There's a machine cutting in my ear. Okay, now you can ask me.
So if you needed an 8-inch rectangle, you cut on the 8.5-inch square and then put it on the strip die?
You could, so long as you don't cover those side blades. See, Leslie, she's been here for a minute. I don't know who's calling me. It's okay. All right, so we're going to slide our mat, don't lift. This is what happens when I have my phone on set. So now I have this 6-inch strip. So watch this. 6.5-inch strip. I'm going to line it up here right at 90 degrees. And I'm going to go back and forth. I can always cut 6 layers of good cotton, but I can also cut flannel and felt and denim and wool and cuddle fabric, okay? So I'm going to just go back here at 90 degrees. If I needed to cut more rectangles, I could start here and go all the way down the die board. Okay? I'm excited about that. All right. So put the cutting mat on top. What happens if you try to cut without a mat? Absolutely nothing. All right, we're making a good mess. That's how we know we're busy here in the Dream Studio. Leslie, is your sewing space messy right now?
No, I had to clean it up because I had people over at my house.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm having people over this weekend, like my family, so I have to clean it up again so that it's not a mess.
We had people over. I just didn't let them go down to the sewing room. So, okay. Look at this. So now I've cut perfect rectangles. So quilters, every time you're making rectangles, cut the widest section first, okay? All right, that's my pro tip of the day. All right, so now I've made the back according to the pattern, okay? And you need to make sure you quilt the back as well. Okay, I just made strip, I just sewed. Yeah, you could make it fancy. I did not make it fancy, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you how to cut binding in just a second. But see right here, these sticky notes? They say sew pockets. So I didn't forget. So the pattern tells you you can sew the pockets like right here. But I already quilted there, so I'm actually just gonna come here to the middle, and I'm just gonna create 3 pockets, okay? So this is so I didn't forget. Because, oh, I don't know what had happened afterwards. I guess I could have done it afterwards. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so I am going to pin it though. Oh, where's Erica when you need her? She would love that. Okay, so I'm gonna pin my little cover down so that I know where to sew. All right, Leslie, do we have questions or people wanting to know?
So Arlene wants to know, since cutting and using stripes for your binding is your 2022 resolution,
Yes.
how do you cut them?
I'm going to show you in 37 seconds because that's how long it's going to take me. So I'm going to stitch from here to here in the center. Okay? So I'm taking the whole thing here to my sewing machine. I'm going to eyeball it.
You're brave.
You could measure it. I'm going to eyeball it. I'm pretty good about eyeballing it. Yeah, I mean, and I'm only sewing 6.5 inches, so I am going to go back though. So give it a little stitch back. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's straight here.
A lot of people are just talking about how they have UFOs from their grandparents or their great-grandparents.
Oh my word.
They're working on.
Quilters, sew those.
Someone said they got squares from a great-grandparent.
Okay, that would be super cool.
That's like over 50 years old fabric, so they're gonna work on getting that done.
Okay, that would be super cool to have fabric from your great-grandma. Maybe that should be my goal in life, is to leave enough fabric that my great-grandkids can have fabric. Okay. All right, look at that. Wasn't that hard? Okay. So now I'm going to trim it right here. So now look. There are, well, in a minute there'll be pockets, but there's places for pockets. Okay. Do you like my stripy binding? I'm super excited about this. It's my goal for the new year. It helps to have something fun like that. All right, so, all right, now, to finish the project, you need binding. So what's our #1 strip die?
The 2.5 inch.
2.5 inches, because that's what we use for borders and binding and sashing and all the fun things.
Pam, a lot of people are asking a lot of questions about the strip die. We did
Okay.
a show a while back with strip die magic in it, and Pam taught you all about the strip dies. So we'll share that in the links for you.
Yes, and if you join me in 2 weeks, it's all about binding on the 26th of January.
Ooh.
All about binding. So we're gonna show you how to cut different sizes of strips, make flange binding. I'm gonna show you bias binding.
Someone did ask about bias binding.
Bias binding, you can cut it with your strip die. But yeah, we have lots of videos on how to cut strips. And I feel like strips are like one of those underused dies. Are we good over there, guys? Okay. There's just stuff happening here in the Dream Studio. Okay, this fabric, by the way, makes you nauseous if you look at it too long. Okay. So what I've done is, usually you can just subcut your fabric, but this is stripy fabric that I'm gonna use again. So I just am gonna come right here, past the blades. Oh gosh, look, I can turn it. Ah. Okay, it makes you headache, so don't look at it very long. Okay, so what I've done is this fold right here is parallel to this black line. Okay, see that? And then this is too long, and again, I didn't want to cut it off. I'm just gonna have it that wide, okay? So I just pulled it back so that it's here at 90 degrees, okay? So now I have 4 layers. For my project, I only need 3 strips of binding, okay? So this cuts 1, 2, 3 strips of binding. I'm gonna come right here. Holy smokes. This is the most stripy fabric I have to use for any bindings this year. But I think it looks super cute. Okay, there we go. Give us some love, slide don't left. Look at this. It's so fun. Okay, so there's my stripes. Okay, and my strips are perfect. Okay, there's no mountain in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to show you my best trick ever. And this is how to miter the corners of your binding using a die. Because in the non-AccuQuilt world, you would take your 2 strips like this, and you would put right sides together, and then you probably wouldn't mark it. You would just kind of sew it here and then cut it and trim it, and then maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not, okay? I'm going to show you how it's going to work every single time. So what you need is a half square triangle that's bigger than your strip. So this is shape number 3 from the 6-inch cube. So it makes a 3-inch finished square, so it's a half square triangle, okay? And then, oh, I love this. This just makes me so happy. I just can't even begin to tell you. Okay, what you want to do is you want to put right sides facing up. Now look, there's a little loop in there. Yeah, no kidding. It's supposed to be. Okay, so now I'm going to do another one because I'm actually going to sew 2 of these together and start and show you how I start my binding. Okay, so again, I'm going to put right sides facing up. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to line up the bottom of the strip with just above this black or this blade right here. Okay, and I'm going to lay it straight. Okay, and then I'm going to take my cutting mat. Now, if I covered the whole thing right here where this blade is, it would just cut it straight. Well, I don't want that. I want it to cut and miter the edge. Okay, so watch. Now I'm just going to offset my mat because it's only going to cut where there's fabric in a mat. Try this at home. Find some binding fabric that you want to make. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Ta-da! So now it's cut the 45 degrees and it's mitered the corner. So now I can put right sides together. And on this one, I'm going to make sure that my stripes line up. Look at how perfect that is. You don't get this at home. Well, you could do this at home. This is why you came today, is so you learn how to do that. Isn't that super slick? So I'm going to sew these 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to start my little binding on the back here and show you how to do it. All right, Leslie, so before we get going, any questions that we have?
Well, this is a great question. Carol's wondering, how do you know which dies, like, because she said, isn't there a die that you should only cut 5 layers of fabric on, and if so, why?
Oh, okay, so do you know the answer to that?
Yes, it is the Crazy Quilt die.
Yes.
We have a couple other that recommend different size cuttings just because the way the blades are laid out.
There's just so many blades.
Yeah, so always read the directions and instructions on the die because it'll tell you which dies those are that have.
Yeah, it's going to tell you. It's going to say, hey, you can only get 5 layers. Okay. So now I'm going to take my iron. Look how cool this is. Da, 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 da. Okay. So now I've pressed, I'm going to press my little seam here, all right, because I want to make sure that it's perfect. Okay, so I sewed it, and right here at the very end, it's just a little bit off, but it's okay, because watch this. I can do this, okay? So now I'm going to press my little seam, okay? And then I'm going to press this in half, just like this. And you would do the whole thing with your really big iron, okay? All right. Now, so many people say, Pam, will you show us how to bind this? So the answer is sure. Let's show you. We have 7 minutes. I can show you lots of things in 7 minutes, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the back, and then, oh, here's what I'm going to do before I do anything. I'm going to clippy these little edges here. okay, so that my pockets stay firm on the front. I like these little bindy clips. Do you have these, Leslie?
I don't, but I need
These
them.
are so cool. Okay, and then I'm just making sure that it's nice and tight here, okay? Right? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you to start not on the pocket area, okay? Start a little bit down the way, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to do this, and then I'm gonna show you how to stop and do the corner, okay? So when I'm doing binding, 2.5 inch strip, I'm gonna take it like this. Okay, hold on here before I get all into this. Hold on here. Oh, see, I knew it was gonna be the other way. No, this is right. Just give me a second here. Okay. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I need to sew right here along this, but this is where I want to tuck in my fabric as it comes around the edge. So I'm going to cut it straight. I'm going to fold it down like this, right there along that stripe. Look at that. Okay. And then when I fold it in half again, now I have a little place that when I bring the rest of this around, it can tuck into there and it looks tidy. Binding is all about tidy, and we'll talk about it here in a few weeks. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pin this. I don't know why my husband is calling me. Is he not watching the show? Holy smokes. Where did my pins go? Oh, right here in front of me. Okay, here we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna come all the way down here to where it's gonna come, and I'm gonna stop at 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna put a little pin right here to remind me to stop at the 1/4 inch, and then I'm gonna show you how to turn it. So I'm gonna start here because I wanna leave this open as I bring my binding into it. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna use a 1/4 inch seam. Boy, everybody always asks. Look at all of this, okay? And I'm gonna give it a good couple of back stitches, okay? All right, so when I come down here, that's saying, oh, don't forget to stop at that 1/4 inch seam. So I actually have a 1/4 inch mark on my foot. So now I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna lift up my presser foot, and I'm gonna turn this at 45 degrees, okay? And then I'm gonna stitch right off the edge, okay? All right, so now I've stitched here, so I have that little opening. So now I can pull this up, pull this back, and then I'm gonna continue stitching right here, okay, till it's done. Ta-da. Thank you. All right, so don't forget, in a couple of weeks, January 26th, we're gonna talk all about binding. Yeah. All right, be sure and fill your pockets with your Go Rotary cutter, some Buckley scissors, a marking pen, and a die pick. All of those items are available on our website. All right, don't forget to join Eric and I on Tuesday, January 18th at 12 noon Central Time for a slumber party. Eric and I are here in our jammies. We're gonna launch our newest die. Be sure to register for the chance to win prizes. We're giving away dies and fabrics. And don't forget our promo today, Leslie, 40% off, right?
Yes.
We're gonna use that code MY40OFF for cubes, dies, and cutting mats. Does it include the Ready, Set, Go?
It does, and the Ready, Set, Go is only $329.99.
Excellent.
All right. If you spend $350 or more, you get a free Go Meet.
Oh, which you need right by you as you're
Yes.
sewing. All right. Do we have a winner, please?
We do have a winner, and the winner is Tammy Morrow from Mount Zion, Georgia.
Congratulations, Tammy. We're going to send you a 6-inch Go Cube. I'm so excited for that. All right, be sure to join me for next week for AccuQuilt Live. We're going to bust up scraps and our stash using the Go Log Cabin Die and the Go Mix and Match 4-inch cube, both of which are on sale with that promo, My 40 Off, right?
They are.
All right, on behalf of our entire team, so here in the studio, well, offset, we have Morgan, and who is helping with us, and Leslie is here in the Dream Studio with me. We have Brock and Justin and Greg and Joe. I'm Pam Heller. I don't know who I am, Pam. Here to remind you at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more. See you next week.